Well, hi again all my loyal YouTube subscribers, and thanks once more for giving up your valuable time to check out more of those iconic off-road vintage motorcycles here in my world of classic dirt bikes. Now our next featured machine is bike number 3 of 5 bikes that I am showcasing from the Terry Pickering vintage dirt bike collection. Now this particular motorcycle is his 1980 PE175 Suzuki Enduro bike. Now although Terry is more commonly known for his high quality bike restorations, this featured machine is one of his collection that he actually didn't restore, and Terry actually bought this bike in this condition, and as far as we are aware the bike has never been restored or changed throughout its life, and it's still in its original 1980s condition. Now these PE Suzukis, or Pure Enduro as the prefix suggests, were Suzuki's answer to the ever popular trail and track bikes that were beginning to flood the US market back in the early 1980s. Now overall these were great little machines in their day and very popular among trail riders of the 1980s. Of course, the little PE175 was up against some tough opposition at the time in the shape of the IT Yamaha and other bikes like the KDX Kawasaki's. But the 175 engine machine was a decent size for what it did, and was of course pitched naturally between its smaller 125 brother and bigger 250cc bike. Now in 1980 Suzuki never had to look far for a motor for the new Enduro bike, as they then took the engine from the RM125 motocrosser and bored it out to a 175cc. Now naturally the bike kept the 6-speed RM125 gearbox, and very little else was changed to the engine to give Suzuki a brand new model for their Enduro market. Now of course standard wet multi-plate clutch with a reed valve fuel induction system. Now the standard carb that was normally fitted to these 175s was a VM34mm Mikuni carb. Now the ignition was by Suzuki's own PEI ignition, or pointless electronic ignition. And back in 1980 these little 175 motors were kicking out about 24 brake horsepower. But of course back in 1980 the PE175 was really the baby brother of the PE bike range, as there was also a 400cc version of this bike available. Now the front forks, if I can remember correctly, were 250mm telescopic oil damped affairs. Of course these were not really adjustable in any way, but you could try heavier springs or a different weight of oil if you wanted to try and stiffen up the front end. But overall the suspension did its job very well on this little Enduro racer, and it was a decent enough little machine for the 1980s. Of course we were still using drum brakes on these bikes front and rear in 1980. Now I'm not entirely sure if these are the original shocks fitted to this bike from back in the day. They certainly look period correct from 1980, but sorry if I'm unable at this point to identify the actual make of these rear shocks. Now these 1980 bikes of course had the alloy box section swing arm, and where of course earlier Suzuki models had the standard steel swing arm fitted. But these alloy box section swing arms had just about the right amount of flex to help the back end of the bike keep stable. Now the 1980 PE175 Suzuki's fuel tank of course had a slightly larger capacity than the motocross equivalent of the time. Due to the longer distances the bike was expected to cover both on the road and off track. Now once again another very comfortable seat on this little PE175, although because the bike would be doing quite a few miles on public roads, you needed a reasonably comfortable seat, and this lovely PE Suzuki seat worked absolutely perfectly. Now the 175 had a very similar exhaust system to its motocross equivalent, although because the bike once again had to be used on public roads, a different and quieter silencer tailpipe had to be fitted to the Enduro version to of course keep noise limits down to the required levels. Now of course, in order to make this bike a fully blown Enduro machine, a full lighting pack had to be added to make it road legal. As you can see, Terry's bike still has the original front light and grille on his machine. And of course also at the rear, a rear tail light and registration plate. And naturally, to complete the road legal part of the bike, working speedometer is also fitted to the triple clamps. Now one of the other little things that these bikes had fitted from the factory was a single ring spanner that used to hang from behind the headlight, which was to enable you to remove or attach the front or rear wheels or change the spark plug, and of course it could also be used to help you adjust the chain. But these were all lost very quickly, and very few of these bikes still have one of these works spanners fitted to the bikes. Now although this was a fully blown Enduro race bike, these 1980 175s essentially had the frame from the Suzuki 125A motocrosser. But at the time, back in 1980, America was dominated by machines including Penton KTMs, Husqvarnas, Micos and CZs, and even the Canadian-built Can-Ams were also producing Enduro machines. But again, Suzuki of course saw these types of Enduro machines as an area in which they could compete, and that was when they decided in 1975 that they would take one of their motocrossers and adapt it for Enduro use. But although, as I mentioned earlier, this machine was not a restoration by Terry, and as far as I'm aware the bike is in as near to its original condition as it was in 1980. Terry never did anything to this bike when he bought it, and Terry also uses this machine occasionally at classic and vintage dirt bike events. So there you have it. It's another fantastic original machine from Terry's collection, his little PE175 Suzuki. Now, next up on my YouTube channel is another belter of a bike from Terry's collection, a completely restored 1977 390 CR Husqvarna. So if you like what you see here on my channel, please subscribe using the subscribe button at the bottom right hand side of your YouTube viewer. So look out for more of these classic bikes coming soon to my channel, and thanks again for watching. This video was brought to you in association with Wolfsport, the world's #1 supplier for all your off-road and leisure sportswear. Just visit their online website or give them a call for more details.